We have seen that why the hemodialysis has been like it is necessary once the person undergoes the failure of the kidney, right? Then to remove the metabolic waste, to remove the nitrogenous waste from the body, it is very important. Now today we're going to talk about the excretion in plants. Also, in the previous class you had written down everything.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Now talking about the excretion in the case of plants. Now, just like animals, the plants obviously, since they are living organisms, so they also require certain like the waste that are there in their body to be excreted out of their bodies. Now, the best waste that the plant can produce is the oxygen. Now, we know that the plants they do photosynthesis, and as a byproduct in them, oxygen is synthesized. Now, this oxygen is not utilized by the plant as a whole. They don't use it to do anything. They're like, okay, just a little bit of the oxygen is like taken by them, but rest of all the amount of oxygen that are like that is made by the plants, it is not used by them. So that becomes a waste product for them. Okay, now this is the first waste product as far as the plant is concerned. Now, apart from that, we know that transpiration takes place in the plants, right? Transpiration, which is the evaporatory loss of water through the stomata or the open pores of the plants. Now, while the transpiration is happening, we understand that transpiration happens and loss of water takes place from the plant's body. But this loss of water sometimes can be, you can say, beneficial, is because when the plant has too much water than it requires, isn't it? So when too much water than it requires is there, then obviously some of the water is needed to be excreted out. So that happens through the process of transpiration. Now, apart from that, plants also have certain many, you can say, waste materials such as dead cells are there and dead tissues are there. So how do the plants get rid of it? Plants, they get rid of it while they shed their leaves. We have seen that during the autumn time, the leaves are shed, right? The whole road and streets become covered with the shedded leaves. Now, why does that happen? It's first of all that leaf has become mature, it has become old. So that is why it is happening. Another reason that it happens is because the plant is like excreting out all of the dead cells and everything, and that comes off as shedding of leaves. Now, apart from that, in some plants, we know that plants have vacuoles present in them, right? Do animals have vacuoles present in them?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
No, animals don't have it.
Animals don't. See, animals can sometimes have vacuoles, but those vacuoles are temporary. Plants have permanent and big size vacuoles. Animals do not have bigger size vacuoles. They have tiny vacuoles, if there is. So now these vacuoles, they are used by the plants to store the waste products. So when a plant has any kind of waste product, they store it in the cellular vacuole, meaning the vacuoles of the cell. Waste products may be stored in the leaves as they fall off. Now, apart from that, the other waste products are resins, gums, especially in the old xylem. Now, see, what happens is that we make rubber. Rubber is made from the gooey, or you can say the white substance that comes from the trunk of the trees, and even the paper is made of that also. So all of those materials that are found in the trees, they are waste products for them. Okay, they don't need resins. Resins are also sticky substances that are found in the trunk of the tree. So the plants, they don't need it. Okay, resins and gums, the sticky substances, they don't require it. So that becomes a waste product. But for us, it is not a waste product. Same goes for oxygen. Oxygen is a wasteful product for plant because they don't use it. But us, we depend on oxygen. Why? Because we need it to breathe. Now, plants also secrete some waste into the soil around. So the area that the plant is living in, the roots, they secrete some of the stuff that is like some ions and minerals that the plant does not require. So that is secreted in the soil area. So very much we can say that even though plants, they do not have kidneys or stuff, but still they can do excretion. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So with this, we have actually completed the life processes chapter. Okay. So once you're done noting it down, we'll start a new chapter today. Okay. So now you can start noting it down.
Ma'am, can you scroll? Done, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
This whole entire thing is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to start a new chapter today. And that new chapter is going to be control and coordination. Which chapter is currently going on in your school?
Control and coordination.
Oh, good. All right. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, as far as the chapter control and coordination goes, before we dive into the chapter like completely, first we must know some of the terminologies that are there that are, you can say associated with the nervous system and how the nervous system works and everything. So we have the proper terminologies present. So some of the important terms that we are going to see in this particular chapter. Now the first one is stimulus. Now see, stimulus, for example, if you're standing somewhere, okay, and then if I come behind you and then I pat on your back, you'll understand that someone is patting on your back, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Hmm. So that patting that I gave, that is a stimulus that I provided. Okay, it was a stimulus. So talking about the stimulus, it is the agent or a sudden change which can happen internally or it can happen externally. And because of this very agent, what happens is that the organism's body, or you can say the way organisms react and everything, that changes. So this was what a stimulus is. Now, when someone pats at your back, the initial response that you come across, if you know that person or anything, you turn towards that person, isn't it? If someone is patting your back, basically that person is calling you out. So you turn. So that is the response that you are providing. So talking about the second term that is associated with the whole control and coordination is response. Now, the change in organisms resulting from a stimulus. Any change that the organism is producing, any kind of change, whether you run, whether you turn towards the person, whether you scream, whether you sit down, any change is a response that the organism provides. Moving on, there is the receptor. Now, the word receptor, they refer to the nerve cells, meaning if someone patted on your back, you understood that it was a pat and not a beating. Why? Because of the receptors that are there in your back muscles. So, these are the nerve cells. And what they do is that they initiate the impulse, meaning as soon as they get the stimulus, they initiate a signal. This signal has to be sent to the brain so that the brain could understand what is happening. So the nerve cells which initiate the impulse towards where? So towards the central nervous system, CNS. And when does this happen? It happens right as soon as the stimulus has been received. Okay, and our central nervous system, it has two components. It has brain and the spinal cord. So for example, if someone like patted on your back, you understand. For example, if you know the touch of the person, let's just say your friends, right? Whenever like friends meet, they're like, okay, hi, how are you? They do stuff like this. So you know the touch that is your friend's touch, and then you don't know if it is a stranger. So anything that analysis that you do, that analysis, it is sent by your brain. For example, again, if I take the example of patting on the back and someone like with full force patted you on the back with full force, now what will your instant reaction be? You'll get angry, isn't it? You'll get angry and then you'll turn towards that person to confront, like, why did you hit me? So that either that being angry or being confused or any of that reaction that is produced by you, it is happening because the receptors were there in your body, and the receptors, as soon as the stimulus was received, the receptors, they initiated a signal, and the signal was sent to the central nervous system for evaluation. Now after that, there comes the effectors. Now effectors, they are the muscles or the glands. Okay, effectors can be muscles or they can be glands. Now, if it is a muscle, then the muscle would contract, or if it is a gland, then the gland would secrete whatever it is supposed to secrete. So, effectors are any of the things in a body that will produce a reaction or that will produce a response. And when does this happen? When they receive the impulse from the central nervous system. Now, when someone pat on your back, you turn towards that person. So you are using your muscles, right? You're using your muscles in your bones to physically move towards that person. So that is being done by the muscles and the bones in your body. So that is what effectors do. And if you're getting angry, so during that time, the muscles are also working, meaning you're turning towards that person. And some of your endocrine glands, they are secreting the hormone which is making you angry. Okay, so that is how the effectors work. Any doubts in the four terms that we have discussed?
No, ma'am.
All four are clear? Okay, moving forward. See, we talked about our central nervous system. Now, our central nervous system, it has two components. It has the brain and it has the spinal cord. These are the two most important components that are responsible for regulating our whole entire body physiology. The way we work, the way we are, the way we do the things, and every single thing that makes us who we are, it's because of the brain and the spinal cord, meaning collectively it's because of the central nervous system. Okay. Now, if we talk about the nervous system, we must definitely understand what is the function of the nervous system. Now, see, the first and the most important function that the nervous system performs for us is that it keeps us informed about the world. We know what is going on around us, whether it is like summertime, whether it is winter, like we feel cold or we feel hot or we feel uneasy and everything. Like we are informed about our whole entire environment because of our nervous system. And you might have noticed that many times, like the people who have, undergone a very bad accident and they have a brain injury or a spinal cord injury, you might notice that those people are not able to understand the things happening around them, right? For many patients, they go into coma, isn't it? So now, like their body don't
Yes,
work
ma'am.
the way they're supposed to, isn't it? So that is why nervous system is so vital, because it actually regulates the working of all of the other systems that are there in our body. Now, how does the nervous system keeps us informed about the outside world or the environment around us? With the help of sense organs. So in totality, how many sense organs do we have?
5.
Five sense organs. We have the eyes, nose, ears, skin, and tongue. So all of these sense organs, we use it to be informed about the outside world, and they are very closely connected with the nervous system. Now, the second function of the nervous system is that it controls the voluntary activities. Now, see, if I ask you right now to raise your hand like this, you'll be able to do it, right? Now,
Yes.
if I ask you that, Shazil, please note this down, you'll quickly note it down, isn't it? And if I ask you to turn your head like this, you'll do that also. So basically, you can move your body, some parts of your body, just the way you want, right? Just the way you want to, whenever you want to, whichever manner you want to do it, you can do that. So those activities that you can do by your own wish or by your own will, that is under your control, that is what we call as voluntary activity, such as running, walking, Writing, talking, all of these are voluntary activities, meaning we can do it whenever we want to. So these activities that are voluntary, they can happen, like they happen because of it is like one of the function of the nervous system. Okay, it regulates, like it is regulated by the nervous system. Now, if you're sitting right here and if I ask you, like, Shazil, I don't know anything, just stop your heart from beating right now. I want it. It is an order. Will you be able to do it?
No, ma'am.
Or if I ask you, Shazil, stop breathing. So you will stop it for a while and then you'll have to breathe again, isn't it? Or if I say, Shazil, you have to stop your blood from circulating in your body. Again, a very silly request that the teacher is making, and you can't do that. Now, all those activities that are not under your control, that you cannot control, but it happens. Like when we sleep, do we have to be reminded to breathe? Or
No,
do we have to wear something or put on something so that our heart beats throughout the night while we are sleeping? Do we have to do that?
no,
No,
ma'am.
we don't have to do that. Why? Because it is something that is regulated by the nervous system. Now, all those activities that are not under our control, meaning we have no control over it, we can't do anything about it. It will happen the way it is supposed to happen. So, those are known as the involuntary activities. Now, some of the examples is the beating of heart, the breathing and everything. It comes under the involuntary activities. So these involuntary activities, they are also regulated by the nervous system. Lastly, our nervous system helps us to remember. If like after the class is over and we meet in the next class, you remember the topics that I taught you in the previous class because of your nervous system. When I ask you a question, you are able to give me an answer. Again, why? Because you can think, and that is also because of the nervous system. And then reason. Now, you are in class 10th, right? Now, you are mature enough to understand what is right for you and what is wrong for you, isn't it? So, this differentiation between what is right, what is wrong, what is ethical, what is not ethical, all of this thinking part and the whole entire logic part, this is also under the control of the nervous system. Okay, and that is the reason why some people who have some kind of mental disorder, they're not able to think properly, they're not able to reason properly because their brain is some sort of not working in a proper way. So that is a very important function of the nervous system that makes us who we are. So these are the four main and the most important function of the nervous system. Now, apart from all of that, we know that the nervous system also regulates the other systems that are there in the body, like our digestive system, then our respiratory system, reproductive system, all of these systems, they are regulated by a nervous system only. Okay. So any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
All right. Okay, now you can note it down. Start it fresh, like take a new page, write the heading, control and coordination, and then start noting it down.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you scroll? Ma'am, can you scroll? Ma'am, can you scroll? Done, ma'am.
Okay. Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
All right. Now moving forward, let us talk about the structural and functional unit of the nervous system, that is neuron. Now see, if you remember when we talked about the excretion in life processes chapter, we discussed that the, uh, the functional unit of our excretory system is the nephron, isn't it? Same way, the functional unit of our nervous system is the neuron. Now, neuron, it is, you can say, auto excitatory. It can do everything on its own. Talking about the parts of the neurons. So, the neuron has three main parts. It has cell body or cyton, it has dendrites, and then it has axon. Now, see, the cell body or the cyton, it is responsible, and it is that middle portion which has a proper well-defined nucleus along with the cytoplasm. So a cytoplasm is also present in it. This part that you're seeing on the screen, this is a well-defined nucleus which is present right in the middle of the cell body, and this whole entire thing, it has the cytoplasm present in it, which is a fluid-like structure which is found in the cell. So this part, this central part, is the cell body or the cyton. Now, from the cell body, if you see all of these branch-like structures that arise, these are the dendrites. Now, you can see that they are spread all across, right? They're here, there. So, what these dendrites do, these are the branch-like structures, and they gather the impulses from different surroundings. So, like this will bring the impulses, this will bring the impulses, and it will collect all of the impulses and bring it to the cell body. So that is what is the function of the dendrites. Now, starting from the below of the cell body to the end, this whole entire long tail-like portion is what we call as the axon. Okay. So now this axon, it conducts the information towards the second neuron. Now, at the ending of each axon, there will be the presence of swollen bulb-like structures. These are the bulb-like structures that are present, and we call them as the nerve endings. So every single neuron that we talk about in human body, it would have dendrite, it would have cell body, it will have axon, and it will also have nerve endings. Now looking at each of the parts. So the cell body or the cyton, it has a well-defined nucleus and cytoplasm present in it. Then there is the dendrites. Now it is the branch projection which is present in the cell body. Talking about the axon, so axon is a long process or a long extension which comes out of the cell body, and the end portion of the axon, they have swollen bulb-like structures, which now these bulb-like structures, everything must have a function. So the function these bulb-like structures have is that they are the storehouse of neurotransmitter, meaning they make and they store the neurotransmitters in them. So these are the different parts of the neuron. And remember that neuron is the basic and
You can
structure.
explain the axon again.
Which one?
Axon.
Axon. Okay, see. From the cell body, there is a long process. Process or extension means something that is starting. For example, if this yellow part is the cell body, so this long part is the extension or the process from it. Same way, the axon is the extension or the process that comes out of the cell body. Okay, now every axon, it starts from the cell body area and it ends at the nerve endings area. Nerve endings are swollen bulb-like structures or vesicle-like structures, and they are the storehouse of neurotransmitter, meaning they store a particular chemical present inside of them. Okay, so that is what axon is, and that is what the structure of axon looks like. And we'll talk about the function and everything later on, but have you understood axon now?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now see, when we talk about the this particular neuron, there is like you might have seen that these are the box-like structures that are present on it, right? Now
Yes,
these
ma'am.
box-like structures, they're not just made that way. These are, you can say, the myelin sheath, meaning it is a layer which is present on the axon. So, depending upon the presence or absence of that layer, the axon are of two types: myelinated, non-myelinated. Myelinated axon is that axon that has a myelin sheath present on it, meaning the whole entire axon is covered by a layer of myelin sheath. So that axon is known as myelinated axon. Now, the axon that does not have a myelin sheath present on it, we call it as the non-myelinated axon. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
We'll talk about what the myelin sheath does, but before that, you note it down. And first, you write the heading: structural and functional unit of nervous system is the neuron, and then you draw the diagram. Okay, you draw the diagram and then you note down the rest of the things. Okay, draw it very nicely. Why? Because many a times the diagram of neuron will be asked in your question. They'll ask, draw the diagram of a neuron with perfect labeling and everything. So you have to label it nicely. Okay. So you can firstly draw this and then you can like tell me, I'll scroll it there. So draw it nicely with a pencil and everything. Also, whenever you're drawing any diagram in biology, once you're done with drawing, below you write down figure and then you write down neuron or whatever it is you're drawing so that the teacher will know what you have drawn. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm just coming in 2 minutes, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any doubts up until now?
No, ma'am.
Uh, So let's just keep it till here only for today's class. And in the next class, we'll continue from